Welcome back to Another Thing. I'm Larry Menti. We all know that events in your childhood affect the rest of your life, but you might be surprised to what extent adverse effects affect your adulthood. Here to talk more about that is Dr. Lee Pachter, who is a professor of pediatrics at Drexel University College of Medicine and one of the co-chairs for the Philadelphia ACE Task Force. Thank you so much for being here. ACE is Adverse Childhood Effects?
Adverse childhood experiences.
Experiences.
So they're basically traumatic events and stressful events that occur in childhood which have profound influence on the health and well-being of children and the adults that those children become.
Because we all have adverse childhood experiences. These must be experiences that go beyond the pale.
Yeah, it's what we commonly refer to as almost toxic stressors. Everybody experiences stress. And actually, stress can be helpful. I mean, we think about 3 different levels of stress: positive stress, tolerable stress, and toxic stress. So positive stress are the daily hassles that we all experience, which actually make us better, and it's actually really important for child development. Things such as being in new social situations, making new friends, doing homework, etc. Those things are good for you. They're stressful,
right,
but they're
because you
good.
can learn from adversity.
Exactly. Tolerable stress are things a little bit more difficult and harder and don't occur in a daily event, but given the proper supportive environment, kids get over them. Things such as being in a car accident or losing a pet or something like that. Doesn't always happen, but again, within a supportive environment, kids can get over it. If these experiences become chronic and unremitting and unbuffered by important adults in a child's life, then it can become toxic, and then it becomes distressful and hazardous to your health.
And the effect later in life is surprising because it doesn't just affect your personality and your success level, it can affect your health?
Definitely, definitely.
How so?
Well, we could always figure out that these stressful events could probably increase your likelihood of engaging in risky behaviors later in life, things such as substance use, cigarettes, and alcohol, which then would cause illness. But what we're also understanding now is that these psychosocial stressors actually get under the skin and alter the body's mechanisms for dealing with illness and stress. You know, the body is a finely tuned mechanism, and when we have external stresses, it goes into overdrive, and things such as the stress response system, like cortisol and adrenaline, they come into effect. And that's normal. And what happens is after the stressful situation, those systems go back into kind of, quiet mode. What happens when you have stress that's chronic, unremitting, and unbuffered is that those systems go haywire. They either burn out or they go crazy. And what that does, that leads to chronic diseases such as heart disease, diabetes, and others.
Really? And this can be well documented that this happens? So if you have a child that's going through a stressful situation, they could be unhealthy as an adult. What are the unhealthy situations that lead to that? Exactly.
Yeah, so traditionally we've been defining adverse childhood experiences in certain ways. So they include like the really difficult things that kids experience, things such as physical, sexual, or emotional abuse, physical or emotional neglect, and dysfunction within the family. For example, having a parent who has a substance abuse problem or a mental illness.
These are traumas.
These are traumas, exactly. They're traumatic experiences. They're toxic traumatic experiences.
So this goes well above just adverse environment or adverse experiences. These are traumatic events in a child's life you're talking about.
Yes. In that continuum of positive stress to toxic stress, these are the toxic stressors.
It's one thing to call our awareness to this. Is it fixable?
Well, yeah, there are a few things that you can do. First of all, again, if you go in that continuum of positive to toxic stress, the easiest way to stop a stressor from becoming toxic in childhood is making sure that that child has an adult who loves him and supports them without any hesitation.
That's fascinating. So your research and your findings are more to tell adults you need to be more involved in these children's life, especially if they're at risk.
Definitely, and all children are at risk, so all children need that person who has unwavering love and support of it. It could hopefully be a parent, it could be a teacher, somebody either in the family or the community who has unwavering support of that child, so that when that child does experience the stress, they have that buffer.
And you're in Philadelphia now. This is where it started at Drexel, but you're hoping to expand this across the country.
Yes, actually we have a coalition in Philadelphia called the Philadelphia ACES Task Force, which goes beyond Drexel. These are individuals in many, many different sectors of life: doctors, nurses, social workers, psychologists, community organizers and advocates, people in the education system, higher education, anybody who has an interest in children and their welfare, who have been working in this area but never spoke together. So we got them together as a collective, and now we're working on a community-based level to see whether we can, first of all, get the information out about these childhood stressors and traumas, and also to see whether we can make sure that professionals who work with children are trained in this, and also to see whether we can do more research in Philadelphia and the surrounding areas to expand the concept of what an adverse childhood experience is.
Well, we're in New Jersey and New York and Delaware and Connecticut. If they want to get a hold of you, how do they find you?
They could look online for the Philadelphia ACES Task Force, and there's information right there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. Dr. Lee Pachter, Professor of Pediatrics at Drexel University College of Medicine, and one of the co-chairs for the Philadelphia ACE Task Force. When we come back, Dawn discovers there are angels right here on Earth. She'll explain when Another Thing continues.